Hi, today we're here with the Three Silver Strands, and I'm with Irene and MJ, and my name is Marlena, and we are here to talk today about friendship. And Irene, you were telling me a story, telling both of us, excuse me, a story about what you learned about friendship in Bible study. And you said you had a verse in John 15. Would you
Yes,
like to read that for us today?
sure. I'll read three verses actually, and how the Bible study came about was really quite interesting. It was like, what kind of friend are you, and what level of friend are you? There's actually five levels of friendship, and I'll go through that after. But Jesus actually calls us his friends, and what greater love he had for us that he laid down his life for us. So it's taken from John 15 to 17. I no longer call you servants because a servant does not know his master's business. Instead, I called you friends, for everything that I learned from my Father, I have made known to you. You did not choose me, but I chose you and appointed you so that you might go and bear fruit that will last, and so that whatever you ask in my name, the Father will give you. This is my command. Love each other. So, what kind of friend are you? And are you level one that you think, I don't really need friends. I'm good. And that's kind of just saying, well, I've been hurt. I really don't need any close friends. Just going to church on Sunday, and when everybody's asked to stand up and greet your neighbor, you're fine with that once a week, Phil, and going to this grocery store and saying hi to everybody you meet. Hey, and, waving at your neighbor. I'm good. Don't need friends. Level two. You say that you want friends and you invite people, hey, yeah, we'll have to do coffee. And you just never make good of that. Or level three, you want friends, but only if they pursue you. Like you've been hurt in the past, and it's like, well, if they give me a call, okay, I'll go with them. And then you get hurt because the call never comes, or the text. And then level four is you make that coffee date finally. You get your phone out and you put it in your calendar. Okay, we're going to meet on June 15th at 2 o'clock at Perks Coffee Shop. And you're all excited and you actually make it there. And then you get home and your friend texts you back, hey, that was fun. Let's do this again next week. So there's a mutual respect there. And then the level five is that mutual pursuit of each other. And then there's an even deeper um, mutual um, vulnerability there where you can dip your toe in the water and just test, yeah, like they're asking you how you're doing, and you go, do you really want to know? I'm really not doing all that great. And now a friend will go, well, yeah, I really want to know. Like, guess what? Like, I'm not having the greatest day either. And so you can almost start being vulnerable with that person and you can get deeper. And that's exactly what, like there's different levels of friends as well. Like, I mean, Jesus had John the Beloved, where, John would rest his head on Jesus's shoulder, because they were they shared vulnerabilities, like John could be vulnerable with him. Uh, and then there was Mary Magdalene, where she was a friend, but Jesus was more of a mentor, which is good. You can have mentors in your life, and those are really good for you. But who are your friends where you can actually be vulnerable? So what kind of a level of friendship are you? So do you have any thoughts on that, MJ or Marlena?
Who wants to go first?
You can.
Oh, um, well, I have two things, I guess, that came to me. The first one is that many months ago, the Lord just kind of gave me a picture of us walking together on a path, and I was basically holding his hand, and um, I didn't see it as a father holding a child's hand. I basically saw it as that a friendship, and that as long as we were hand in hand and walking together, um, it just spoke to me that there's a friendship, and um, on this path there were there was a border of flowers on each side, and the flowers were very colorful, and the path was like one of those rundown tire marks, with grass in the middle, and we're just walking down this path, and just beyond the uh, borders of the flower borders, it was all gray and dismal and chaos and chaotic, and you know like a war was happening. But I believe that the for me, as I was looking at this, going, it was almost like I was walking it out. Um, I just felt like it was a level of trust. So I think those levels that you're talking about are levels of trust,
Yeah.
and there has to be something that brings that trust for us to be able to be vulnerable to the other person. And Jesus obviously is the ultimate trust, because of what he did for us. And we as human beings, um, we're not perfect, but we're able to continually go back to that vision that I saw, and know that he will never leave us or forsake us. And I think that that's, something that we we learn, we gain, we um, gain understanding, and we develop a foundation of, he says, when his word says that he will never leave you or forsake you, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. It's, well, sorry, you kind of did something wrong, so I can't be with you today, But we as humans, we um, we struggle with that because we're in this world. We're not of this world, but we're in this world. And so we have to kind of reverse that, and learn to walk in the same pace as what, the way Jesus is showing us. And in that pace, we learn to lay our differences down. We learn to lay um, our struggles that we have, and we have an enemy, that the enemy can push us apart. And I sometimes notice that, if I'm working, I don't know, can't find the right words. I'm out of sorts this week. So, but if I find that I'm struggling with a trust issue with somebody, oftentimes the best thing to do is to just pray, and pray that the Lord would bless the relationship, but also pray that there would be angels put around that person and around yourself, because it says in Psalm 91, can't give it to you specifically. Actually, I can, but I have the poster. I just don't have any access to my Bible. Um, but we can pray that the angels will war on our behalf, that our friendship would be preserved. And I think that there's so many ways that Jesus shows that, right? That he's ever interceding on our behalf. And I think that's part of that friendship, that we can trust that Jesus in us um, is is how we can develop that same relationship with one another. It's how we can develop that commandment, love one another, that we always look to just be able to turn our eyes to him and say, what do you say about this relationship? And if he says to love one another, then we have to figure out a way to be able to lay those things down at his feet, because that's what he did. He laid himself down on that cross. Nobody forced him to do it. He laid himself on that cross. And I don't know. Hopefully, I'm making sense, but I think it's based on trust. Our relationships, our friendship. We trust that His word is true. So, thankfully, we can go to Him for everything. But if we feel like we can't, then we have to kind of sit and examine why, and then know that no matter what we say, do, or go through, he will always be there. He will never leave us or forsake us. And if we can grip that, we know that we have the ultimate friendship. And because we have that ultimate friendship, we can learn to be that same friend to others, regardless of what level it might be. So, yeah, that's part of my take.
I agree. There's definitely different levels of trust that you have to have with different people. And I will say I am a number five all the way. I jump in with both feet to every single relationship that I walk into. And I've had to learn in the last few years to be really careful about who I trust things with. And that's hard for me. I want to be friends with everybody, everywhere I go, every time I meet. And so I get my feelings hurt really fast and I get my heart broken all the time. And but it's really important to me that I am the best friend that I can be. So for me, I usually start talking to people as though we're in the middle of a conversation. And I didn't know that that was an art until a few years ago. And I just do. I don't usually start out with, "Oh, the sun is out and did you see the pink flowers walking up to the walkway?" I'm the kind that just jumps in and says, "Hey, how are you doing? What's going on with your life? What do you like to do?" And so I tend to draw people into me. It turns out that's one of my strengths. Woo is one of my strengths. And I just really love people so much that I draw them into me. And so one of the things that I have on my heart as you guys were talking is the art of making friends.
Yeah.
And so my husband and I had talked about this a couple months ago, actually. And he was like, "I don't know how you do it." And I said, "I just start talking to people." And he was like, "I don't even know what to talk about," which is true because he hardly talks to me. And part of the amazingness of our relationship is that I get to chatter away literally at no end, and he sits there and listens to me and smiles and loves me anyway and doesn't hardly talk until I force him to talk, and then the poor man can hardly stand it. But what I can say is if you're struggling with how to make friends, and a lot of people I understand have this problem. um the first thing is just to go in with no expectations. Don't expect every single person to be your friend. And that makes it a little easier to know that you're not walking away with the friend of a lifetime today. And it helps to give them a break, because when you're expecting every single person to be your friend, it tends to put everybody else on edge. So you have to be really careful with that. Don't ask me how I know, but I do know that. And so then another thing would be to ask questions that lead them into something that you enjoy. Then, because what that does is that gives you something in common. So if I've got a son who loves everything movies, and he talks as much as I do. And we go to church and we hug everybody and we talk to everybody. But he's amazing at saying, "Hey, did you get to go see that new movie last week? I didn't get to see it yet." Or he'll say, my favorite movie is, and then he'll talk about it for a moment, and then he'll say, "What's your favorite movie?" And then that brings them together in a way that he can relate to them, and talk about something that they both liked, right? So even if my favorite is historical romance, and his favorite is sci-fi, we can still find a common ground with where we like to watch movies. Do you like to watch them at home? Do you like going to the theater? Do you prefer an IMAX over a smaller theater? Do you like to watch them with friends? Do you only like to watch movies alone? And having those kinds of conversations. But those are all about asking questions. And so when you ask somebody something about themselves, it draws them into your world for a moment. And that's how you can learn to build that trust. And then I would suggest be really careful about what you share, because Satan is out there and he's looking for opportunities to make everything harder. And this has been a really hard concept for me. I overshare all the time, and I need to figure out how to not do that. And I met some really kind older women in the last year who have really drawn me in, but then at times have said, um, "That's a lot to handle," or "That might be too much to share today." And mostly in protection of themselves, because they couldn't take on somebody else's problems. And that's totally legit. And I didn't know how to do that until I met these women who were able to teach me that sometimes it's just okay to say thank you, even though your situation feels like it doesn't warrant that. So if somebody says, "Boy, you're doing a good job as a mom," it's okay to say thank you, because there are probably more days than not that you are being an amazing mom. But today you feel like it's a horrible, horrible day. It's okay to just say thank you and not give all of the details of why today is a horrible day, or why your whole life has been horrible because today is horrible. It's okay to do that and to just say thank you and recognize that somebody else is giving you a compliment, rather than throwing that compliment under the rug and saying how horrible you are as a mother, because it's not true, right? And God gives us he gives us the ability to work through those problems, but we don't have to work through those problems with everybody else. And I will tell you, that's very recent for me. It's a very hard thing, because I do start all my conversations in the middle. I don't start them at the beginning. Um and I want to be friends with everybody, but I've recognized later in my older years now, I'm recognizing that you don't have to be friends with everyone. You don't have to give everybody all the information. And it's okay to accept a compliment. And so when you can do those things, it makes friendships a lot easier. And as they're able to trust you, knowing that you can keep your own secrets, then people will be able to trust you better with theirs. And I think that's really encouraging to me to know that I've got deeper friendships now than I did in the past, just because I've been able to recognize those signs.
Awesome.
So
That's great. That's great.
so what do you guys think?
I think it's true. You do have to be careful, but it's really, no man is an island is what I think. So we really do need friends. So it's okay to pursue people and just try to, and just really relish people that are pursuing you as well. And yeah, be thankful for that and pray for good friendships. And also another thing they were talking about this morning, the topic was being evenly yoked, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you can't be friends with somebody that is, living and with different morals than you're living with, right? Like you can't be as vulnerable to that person. Like that's not a friend. Like we throw this word friend around like too much. Like that's why we've got so many, this word frenemy has come up, right? Like it's like that's not a friend. A friend is somebody that takes you with all your bumps and your bruises, and that's a friend, like not somebody that is, out and out, doesn't reciprocate your your
Your view.
yeah, your like you're always, like let's do this, and then but they've got you at arm's length. Like that's not a friend. Like that's what you would consider a frenemy. And so be cautious in your friendships. And like Marlena says, don't overshare. It's like some people, um I was guilty of it. It's like jumping into a pool naked. And Noah did that, right? Like he was naked, and his one son, pointed it out and was mocking him, but his other sons, they covered up his nakedness. Like choose friends wisely, and I think that's very important. And that was in
Absolutely.
the Bible study, and that's not my words. That was from I'd like to take the credit for that example, but that was shown this morning at the Bible study. It was such a great Bible study. So by Pedro, so I should say who it was from too. So yeah. But this booklet, I think I mentioned it before, but it's really a good one. It's on Amazon right now, and it's by Keith Ferrante, and it's called Friendship. So I've ordered it this morning because it just seems like an awesome book to have, and it should be in everybody's library. And yeah, so I ordered it. Like they were talking about it, and I got on my phone right away and went order. So yeah,
I'll put the link down below then.
I will.
Thank you, Irene. Thank you, Marlena.
You're
Well,
welcome.
thank you. Thank you,
Well,
MJ, for your words of wisdom.
yes. Okay, well, till the next time, that is it for the three silver strands on friendship. Till